Today, we're diving deep into a topic that often goes overlooked in discussions about the transatlantic slave trade, the involvement of banks. Yes, you heard it right. Banks. Stay tuned as we uncover the uncomfortable truth about some financial institutions that played a role in this dark chapter of history. Before we begin, it's essential to acknowledge that the transatlantic slave trade was a horrific and deeply reprehensible part of our past. We're shedding light on this topic today not to point fingers but to promote awareness and understanding of the historical complexities surrounding it. Background: the transatlantic slave trade, which spanned from the 16th to the 19th century, involved the forced transportation of millions of Africans to the Americas. What many may not know is that several banks played a role in financing and facilitating this brutal trade. Bank of England. One prominent example is the Bank of England, founded in 1694. Historical records reveal that the bank not only accepted deposits from slave traders, but also provided loans to them. The profits from these financial transactions were, in part, derived from the suffering of enslaved individuals. Royal Bank of Scotland. Another major institution with ties to the slave trade is the Royal Bank of Scotland. Documents from the Archives indicate that the bank profited from transactions involving slave plantations and even owned estates where enslaved people were forced to work. Dutch West India Company and Wachovia Bank. The involvement of banks wasn't limited to England. The Dutch West India Company and Wachovia Bank in the United States also had connections to the slave trade. These institutions engaged in financial transactions that supported the purchase and transport of enslaved individuals. J.P. Morgan Chase & Co. J.P. Morgan Chase & Co., one of the largest and most influential banks globally, has acknowledged its historical ties to slavery. Documents show that predecessor banks, such as J.P. Morgan & Company, owned enslaved individuals and accepted them as collateral for loans. The acknowledgement of this history represents a step towards accountability in the financial sector. Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo, another major player in the banking industry, has also faced scrutiny for its historical connections to slavery. The bank traces its roots back to the early 19th century, where some of its predecessors have been reported to have accepted slaves as collateral for loans. Like other institutions, Wells Fargo is working to address this part of its history. Impacts on the present. The repercussions of these historical connections are still felt today. Many argue that these banks, knowingly or unknowingly, profited from the suffering of countless individuals and, as a result, contributed to the economic disparities that persist in our world. As we wrap up this exploration of banks and the slave trade, it's crucial to approach this history with a nuanced perspective. Understanding the past helps us navigate the present and work towards a more just and equitable future. If you found this video informative, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more thought-provoking content. Thank you for joining us today, and until next time, stay curious.